That was if there were major changes. These were just little, I don't think that there's anything really.
Well, we took a shell out and made,
Yeah,
a may out and
that
put a
we could
shell.
easily-
You could just say as
Okay.
amended.
That's
Yeah.
enough, yeah.
Okay, you're okay with that?
Because I have to post the ordinances.
So you're okay with the first reading on that tonight? Okay.
Okay.
Then, Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve ordinance 1369, an ordinance amending Title 16 of the Canby Municipal Code as amended in discussion this evening.
Okay. A motion there. A second on this?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Ryder. So, motion's been made by Councilor Hensley and seconded by Councilor Ryder to accept ordinance 1369, amending Title 16 of the Canby Municipal Code as amended and discussed this evening. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Excellent.
Thank you, Angie.
Yeah, thanks, you guys.
Thanks for your patience.
A lot of information there to go through, so appreciate that. We're going to move into new business, which is City Council applicant interviews and appointment this evening. What everyone has been waiting patiently for. So what I have here in front of me are 3 pieces of paper with random names on it. I apparently can't say ladies first, so we will pick at random. I believe you guys have a prepared statement, so you'll each get an opportunity to read your statements. We will volley a series of high-level, thought-provoking questions from you. You'll each get an opportunity, and then we will talk amongst ourselves in front of you about you, and then we will decide, or this group here of counselors will decide on which one of you gets to sit through the next public hearing on design code standards and whatnot. All right? Questions from council at all on process here? Or suggestions, comments? No? All right, our first lucky contestant this evening. Totally random. No, it's totally random that it's Gwen. Okay? So, Ms. Polgar, you are welcome to come up front here and
Thank you.
go through this process with us.
Hello, Mayor, councilors, and city attorney and city administrator, city recorder. How are you all this evening? Tired?
You're well.
Good. So I have one question. Do you want me to read the questions and then give my responses, or how would you like to go about that?
Whatever you feel comfortable with.
Okay. Okay. My name is Gwen Polgar. I've lived in Canby for 14 years. I'm married. I have a 9-year-old daughter. I currently work for Home Street Bank as a senior production analyst. I've been with Home Street for 13 years. My family and I enjoy snowshoeing, cycling, tennis, swimming, camping, and home improvements. I have no prior experience, or I had no prior experience serving the public until I went to work for Home Street. Home Street encouraged its employees to get involved in the communities that they lived in. So I filled out an application and applied for the City Budget Committee volunteer and got a call from Walt Daniels and got the position. And I've been on the Budget Committee for 2 years, I believe. And I enjoyed working with people, interacting with community leaders, and I feel I can bring my financial background to the council. If the seat comes available in 2014, I would definitely look forward to that term. The most pressing problem in the city, I believe that income and expenses are at the top of the list of any working city. Expenses and operations personnel are on the rise every year. The city needs to find more successful measures to produce additional revenue through attracting new business while reevaluating its expenditures. If we want the Canby community vision to be successful, then we need to look for new ways of doing business, or this vision will be just that, a vision that goes nowhere because we have no money. A situation where I had to deal with a very upset customer in the banking industry. I had a customer call me, swear at me, And I let him say his piece. And when he got done, he asked me if I was still there. And I said, yes, I am. And I said, and I'd be more than willing to talk to you, as long as you can talk to me civilly. I think that's the best way to get results. I listened to his points, his recommendations. I wrote them down. I read them back to him, so I made sure I had them correct. I told him that I would bring it to the next team meeting that we had. And I couldn't guarantee that all of his issues would be adopted, but I would give him a call back and let him know what we decided. I did. And part of the problem was, at the time when I worked for the bank, they didn't necessarily have practices in place for privacy. The customer had sent me some information over the internet, and I had responded. It was personal information, and he became very upset with it and felt that the bank wasn't doing their due diligence for their customers. So we did put some practices in place. He wasn't happy that we didn't adopt them all, but that happens. But he was happy that somebody was willing to listen to him. He did apologize for swearing at me, but that's not the first time that's happened. Do I have some specific goals and improvements for the city? I would like to see an open forum discussion about the rise in healthcare benefit costs that are in the city budget to enable a stable budget with a safeguard contingency that exceeds 20% of the overall budget. Give us an example of how you've worked and participated in a team. As Greg indicated, I was in the Ford Foundation Leadership Training Program. There were 20-plus participants, and as you know, when you get a group of people together, everybody has their own ideas, which was great. It created a lot of ideas. It taught us how to assess the talents and strengths of our teammates, tap into resources within our community, learn how to make effective meetings, put ideas together to create decisions and implement them into actions. I've learned several ways to deal with conflict and still get to a common ground, even if the results are not what you wanted, but they are the benefit of the group. The skills I've learned were used by everyone in the group, including myself, to form the project, generate ideas, set timelines, create platforms, set goals, meet the goals, which resulted in the implementation of the new bike racks that you see around Canby today. Besides that, we made a really great video.
Yeah, it was good.
As a volunteer for the city of Canby's Budget Committee, I voted against the proposed adopted 2011-2012 budget, which resulted in an unpopular vote. But there were things that were discussed in that I didn't agree with, and I was given a vote, and I voted against it. As for the city council meetings, yes, I'm 100% committed to be an active city council member if appointed, and I will balance my personal, professional, and city council duties to ensure success. Thank you for your consideration.
Gwen, thank you for applying and be a part of it. Go ahead, take a deep breath. You're good. No, it's a lot. For me, a question for you. Can you tell us about a time when you received pretty critical feedback about your own performance and how you handled that?
About my own performance?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I actually just finished writing my own review at work. Mm-hmm. And I also had to do 7 peer reviews, and one of those was of my supervisor. When people have given me feedback on, areas of improvement, I look at those as opportunities to better myself. My reviews in the past have been on the outstanding side. I strive for perfection, so if there's something that, I need to fix, I look hard and fast at it and try to find a solution for it.
Okay, thank you.
I try not to take it personal.
Good. Any other questions?
Well, just to comment, Gwen, if you get appointed to this body, you will find that every decision you make will be popular.
Popular.
As I read in the paper this evening before coming here.
Obviously, I say that with some facetiousness, but I think one of the hardest things of being in these positions is the it's one thing when you get someone comes and talks to you or calls you or stops by your home to, disagree with you on something. But at least they sign it and you know who they are. But it's the anonymous letters that you get that the people don't have, that are enough of a coward to complain but not tell you who they are. That's a tough part of this job.
With that, sometimes I kind of just feel that people just want to be heard. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I guess it depends on if it comes in a threat or not.
Yeah.
But I think, as a body, the group of people just being on the budget committee that I've worked with, are pretty reasonable. They seem to make good choices for the right benefits. I haven't met anybody here that I felt was like on this council or that has worked for the city that I've met that has like an agenda. I think everybody wants it for the betterment of the town that they live in. The one thing I've learned in the Ford Leadership Program is there's a lot of people in this town that just have tremendous pride for this place. Mm-hmm. And they want to make it work. Mm-hmm. And I think most of the people are willing to work with, you guys and the city. I've not met anybody that's been, they might disagree, but they're not, they'll ask the question as to why you made that decision. Right or wrong, they're not sitting in that seat. And that's a hard decision to make.
Mm.
This decision you guys have to make is tough. But I think if you just listen to people, that's a big part of it. You do it for the right reason.
Good. Thanks.
Any other questions?
You'll not only, this position is not only for City Council, it's also for Urban Renewal Agency as a commissioner. Can you tell us some about your understanding of urban renewal and what your personal views are on how the opportunities and challenges it presents?
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a good question. From my understanding of urban renewal, and this just comes from my banking background, I think the urban renewal and putting better businesses in place and bringing new businesses to the town is highly beneficial, but I know if you're building within the city of Portland and in different areas there, it's difficult. It's costly. Nobody wants to pay for it, but everybody wants it. And from that perspective, you just have to, I guess, try to choose the right goals that are going to benefit those areas. You just have to have the stuff in front of you. You have to be able to look at what the plan is and make sure it makes sense for the town. That's kind of just the understanding on a very basic.
You bet. You bet. And before Tracy asks her cool question, I got one more. If I could answer that, in fairness, I'll say if I could answer this myself accurately, I would be fabulously wealthy. But I'll ask you, where do you see Canby in 20 years?
In 20 years? I see my daughter sitting up on
Your
that.
daughters.
My daughter sitting up there.
Okay.
In 20 years, I think, based on the way that we're going right now, if we really pay close attention to our budget and we have a bit of a savings plan, I think we'll go a long ways. If we don't, and I know this is a tough question, if we don't look at our bottom line to some degree of a business, we're going to stall along the way from a financial perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Just from the 2 years that I've seen the budget, heard the conversations, I think we'll stall. I think we'll stumble a lot. But I don't think, if we don't have a plan in place, somehow to, address the rising costs of, the healthcare, and we're gonna struggle unless the economy just picks up and we just start developing houses and getting those SDCs. I think in 20 years, this will be a great place. It'll be a place where I want my daughter to be.
Okay.
We just have to look at some kind of hard facts.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
If Jason Padden would
There you
allow you
go.
to color his door any color you wanted, what would it be and why? No, I kid. That was for Counselor Dale's benefit. And actually, my question was going
Oh,
to be
but
about
see, I
urban renewal.
prepared for that question. It would have to be, I would have to know where the door was and what surrounded it to make sure that the best color was the right choice for that environment.
Okay, I like that.
That sounds like a politician.
That told us a
camera.
lot. No. Actually, my question was going to be about urban renewal, and as I was formulating my question, the words came out of
Oh,
Counselor Dale's
okay.
mouth,
we're
so
You
I'm
ask it
good.
next time.
And thank you for asking that, because I really thought about that one.
That's fine.
I hadn't thought of that in 2 years. Since you guys.
Since
got
we
it.
got asked it.
What the heck does that have to do with anything?
Any other questions of Gwen at all? No? Okay. Gwen, thank you.
Mr. Ryder, congratulations. I didn't get to congratulate you on your seat.
Thank you very much.
All right, next contestant. Mr. Llewellyn.
Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Good, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Nice and early. Okay, so to start off, a little bit about myself. I grew up here for most of my life. Started on Holly Street. Just learned not too long ago that, I guess I kind of forgot about this. I was 3 years old when it happened, but Holly Street when we moved here was not paved. My parents ended up getting assessed. They bought a house in Holly and got assessed, and they were quite surprised by that. So they had to put in sidewalks and curbs, so that was interesting. Lived there for quite a few years, and then in my early teens, my father decided that he wanted a small farm. He was good friends with Roy Zimmer. Through the Pitch Pipers, by the way. I used to belong to the Pitch Pipers. And we bought the 23 acres from him. My cousin built a house on there, pretty large house, and we had a farm. In my first 2 years of college, again, the music, I was a Catalina member here in Canby. Then I went to Clackamas Community. I had scholarships for the first 2 years. While doing that, I worked for Canby Telephone. And Canby Telephone actually helped put me through college at the University of Oregon, an economics degree. The hobbies, I'm an avid skier. I've been on a racing team for several years. I'm a whitewater rafting guide and personal guide, several years. Golfing, I do quite a bit of golfing, but I still need the biggest club out there with a good wind behind my back.
Had that today.
Yeah, it's helpful. I close my eyes with the biggest club. I'm road and mountain biking. I've done Cycle Oregon twice. I'm also a certified scuba diver. I've done quite a few dives around the world. So, the last 22 years, I've built 3 successful businesses. I've handled all the big decisions. I've made personal payrolls. I've done the hiring and firing and all that fun stuff. Prior to that, I was with the Fred Meyer Corporation coming out of college. I went through their management program. Ended up in the internal audit division, where we audited all aspects of the company, all their direct store delivery and their distribution center. By doing that, I also got to audit our vendors, which are some of the biggest names in America today. What appeals to me about serving on the council, I've been involved in the vision of Canby for over 15 years. I want to continue to do that. I feel my experience I would hope would add value, be a benefit to the council. I want to see us expand on Canby's great schools, have those extracurricular activities coming back. I know that some of this is being worked on right now by Dr. Steech. I'm hearing that he's got a good program I'd like to get more involved with. Right now, companies are going to, you've had, Portland Business Alliance did an economic forum last year. And 2 of your biggest companies here in Canby went to that. That was all written up in the Portland Business Journal. I've given that to some of your staff, and it was fascinating. One of the things that they were saying is those companies are going to California and Washington to get their employees. So I think, I'd love to imagine a good scenario that no one's really talking about, and that's making Canby a really good role model. Take the lead, produce good students, capture the good workers, and fill the high-paying jobs, and the quality jobs that we're bringing and will continue to bring in here. Canby has an incredible opportunity right now, given its proximity to Portland. It's 10 minutes from either freeway. I've driven it to the airport. It's closer to the airport than Wilsonville. I've driven it several different times. I did that on purpose, so part of the marketing plan. Had to make a point. Would I consider running for the November 2014 seat? Absolutely. I think one of the things I've learned over the years is I've watched the different councils. I've gone to many of the numerous council meetings and urban renewal district meetings. I've sat here with you through these things. It takes time and patience to see a lot of this stuff through. And I think Randy and Walt are perfect examples of that. I can't imagine through the years, trying to make those decisions and not having those guys that were there with me originally, learning all that stuff. It's vital. So I'm here for the long term. Most pressing problem in the city of Canby, I think it can be summed in one word. It's balancing. Balancing the quality of life between working, living, and playing here. That has been the problem for 30 years, and I think it still faces. People worry about growth, but people are the reason we grow. We can control people growth only to a certain point. The business growth we can control better, which I relate back to the industrial overlay zone that we created. We did that. One of the objectives of the industrial area task force was to look at that and really tighten the kind of businesses that can come out there. So we get good quality businesses, good paying jobs. And I think an example of that is when we kept that towing company out. That's not what us as farmers out there and multi-generation farmers out there want to see. We want to see good quality businesses out there. We need to bring in business to handle the growth of people. We need to balance the budget. That's really the issue here. It's keeping the budget balanced, but yet keeping the high quality of living here. We want people here working and playing and living. We want to get the businesses excited and want them to be a part of the community, both physically and financially. I think we're really missing a beat here. I think there's a resource for dollars that we can go after here. And don't miss the boom in manufacturing. This is happening, growth is happening, which is a reason for a shovel-ready industrial park. What you're seeing with a low dollar is an incredible, massive manufacturing going on. Existing buildings are being bought. What's going to happen is when this economy expands, and I believe it will, my business, these companies are going to need to expand. And Canby you've got a great potential here, given the kind of the property that you have available for that kind of growth. It is the one bright spot that we've had in the economy in this whole downturn, this manufacturing real estate, industrial real estate. And I think we need to utilize the Chamber and Economic Development Department to help facilitate this. You can go after it. And then have it downtown. Have a downtown plan, and have a plan that makes it more interact with the business park, the industrial park. We should all be on the same page here. Gather your downtown business owners, your property owners, your industrial park executives, your industrial park owners. Hear their ideas. You've gotten tremendous talent here. These are very successful people. I want to hear what they have to say and incorporate that into a good plan. We need to reach out to them. They have many things going on to understand. Different city meetings they should be coming to. I think, I have this in another section too, but I think we do these things to get everybody to come in, but I think as a small business owner, I understand there's a lot of stuff that comes to me, and if it doesn't really relate to me, I quickly get rid of it. And I think that's what happens with your executive and your small business owners. So I think we got to reach out to them and make them understand why this is important, why we want them. And finally, identify or incentivize incentivize downtown development so the owners and developers can take advantage of future opportunities. I think it's vital, and I have personal experience of this as going forward. Dealing with a very upset customer, coworker, or conflict. Really, my current clients, market downturns, recessions. Yeah, I think that's when we're needed the most. I think that's when we make our money. The hardest part is when, you know, I think money is the number one or number two financial stress. When people call, the biggest thing I can do is I have to make sure I have all the information. I need to step out of that media realm. I need to make sure that what is really going on, what's the nuts and bolts in the economy that's going on. I need to stay calm, and I need to explain to them what the reality is and try to calm them down. And that is why we're successful, because I'm successful at doing it. I don't lose clients in downturn. A conflict in the URD task force. In that original urban renewal task force that I was on years ago, there was a ton of conflict on there. But we resolved it, and this conflict was going on in the newspaper. It was a wild time. But we resolved that, and we met our goal of establishing the URD plan to capture the Fred Meyer revenue. And we spent over a year, 2 or 3 meetings a week doing this. Conflict with the property owners. One of the reasons we developed the industrial task force was how are the property owners, how are we going to have those equity issues addressed? It was a huge problem. You got the bigger owners, you got the smaller owners, you had people with houses, you had people with farms, that were their incomes. How are we going to deal with this? We developed a plan for that. We developed a formula for that, and we actually used that on Hazeldale Way. And it was a plan and a formula that was designed for that entire park. We could use it today. Working for a huge 500 company at the time, I dealt with buyers in abusing positions, to co-workers stealing from capital accounts. Again, you can't react. You have to stay emotionally calm. You have to gather the facts and the data and look at the big picture, especially in that case. We used to report to the board of directors at the time, which was KK&R. They were fun.
Yeah.
You had to make sure your T's were crossed and your I's were dotted. You did not want them coming back at you. Do I have specific goals or improvements to make in Canby as a counselor? Yeah, I think one of them, I have several actually. Have an economic forum. Do what Portland did. But let's get everybody here. Let's sit down. Let's find out. Again, get the executives, the industrial executives, the downtown executives, the business owners downtown, the business owners out in the industrial park, the landowners. It's critical. Everybody comes together. Everybody needs to be on that point. Again, they're very experienced people. Also, I think we need to invite the school districts and Clackamas Community College. Years ago, we had Clackamas Community College excited about coming to Canby, and the ball was dropped on us. We had them coming to the industrial park. That's where they need to go. And by the way, they have grant money that follows them, so it's another source of revenue that you can tap into. And I think Clackamas Community College, along with our school districts, need to be involved in this economic forum. We can use my experience as setting up the Industrial Area Association to help facilitate the neighborhood associations, which is in your new visioning plan. I can help you set up that new one. I can help you reinforce, and strengthen the current ones. They're very effective, and we need them. They can be very useful. Parks and Recreation, I think it's a higher priority. Again, I think that should be part of the economic forum. I think we need businesses involved in this, because they're going to use them. Their employees will use them. I think they should be a big part of that. And I think the biggest concern I have on that is the maintenance and the security of it. It's going to cost a lot of money. But I'm for them. I like doing that stuff. So I think we need to address that, and I think they're a vital part to that. We just got to ask them. And finally, let's go back to the original urban renewal plan. This was a huge vision for Canby's future 12 years ago. We spent over a year looking at everything. We were told to dream big and put everything in there. And the blighted areas was what created that plan. And I actually, it was probably separate, but I actually looked up the law on the 20-year of the urban renewal, and I think it's really a question, it's probably a question for the attorney, but I'm not sure the 20 years applies. But that's more for future thought. And also, I think when you do that, incorporate it with the current visioning plan that you have. You have some really good ideas in here. I think we need to look at both plans and incorporate them. I think when we go back to the original urban renewal, I think there's a lot of that stuff that's been done. There's a lot of stuff that has to be done yet. I think we need to prioritize it. And I think putting this stuff in, we can prioritize it. And bottom line here is getting business, building and landowners more involved. And I think more events and activities can be sponsored by it. Canby should be excited and embrace the growth. There's a ton of opportunity ahead if we do this right and make good decisions. Participating on teams, been on several. Rotary, I've been the president of 2 different clubs. The first club I was the president of, I led a team to Copa, Peru, just outside of flight jet over the Andes from Lima. I led 4 clubs and an NGO. We raised over $60,000 and put in 7 clean water wells to 7 different villages. If you've never seen a third world and how they live, you need to do so in your lifetime. It's quite something. And those people that don't appreciate our country, go over there and come back. Believe me. The Fred Meyer auditing team. We had to be a huge team. We couldn't have people going off. We had to work as a team. We were looked at as IRS people coming in. We made great strides in trying to get the company to use this as a resource. And the only way that happened is we had to work together. We couldn't show conflict within our department. The Canby Urban Renewal Task Force. Again, we had huge conflict within that team. And at the end of the day, we made our goal. As a small business owner, I think that's one of the biggest problems, is being a team and getting the employees to understand that we all wear different hats at different times. And I have to understand that they need to have ownership in it. I can't be a dictator to it. I have to hear their ideas as well. Unpopular decision. Just recently, actually, I've merged my business twice, and just recently is the second time. I'm in a great position as I can retire these financial advisors that have been in the business for years, 30, 40 years. The average age of the financial advisor today is 61 years old. I'm looking at a third one. In doing so, as with any merger, one of the benefits is cost savings. Copiers, computers, leases, phone system, and most importantly, people. These are not easy. It's rewarding when it's done and you're done successfully, but merging is not easy. It's quite eye-opening. We've had a great team when I did this merger. We go to great lengths to ensure this. We have to in our office. So when I look at people, when we merge, we didn't need the amount of people that we had. So who stays and who goes? That is the most difficult decision I've ever had to make. And it can really affect your other employees. We had to be very careful. We had to keep them all in the loop, keep them all informed, don't hide anything, and it actually becomes clear. And people have other goals, and it becomes clear, and we can help them. And we need to make sure that as we move forward, your current team is good to go. We were successful in doing it. A time commitment to council. As with other organizations and boards I've been on, and as with my current business, each week things are known and unknown. Both need to be budgeted in. I have a staff that helps me stay on track with this with my calendar. This, if I'm taken as the counselor, would be budgeted in both known quantity of time and unknown time. I guess that's it. Any questions? Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Craig, very much. Questions from you guys at all?
I do have one, actually. You're a property owner out in the industrial park area, correct? And thereby have a vested interest in the development of that area. As a city councilor, you would also wear the hat of an urban renewal commissioner, which could pose a potential conflict of interest. I'd like to hear your view on that and how you would handle that.
Well, first of all, I think if you go back 15 years, because I've really been involved in this, when I really got hot and heavy, it was when we tried to retire my mother and go to the front 10 acres, and that's when I realized we couldn't do that because of the zoning from the comprehensive land use plan that was passed in 1985. That's when it's like, well, wait a minute, what? But I think when you go back, and I could fill this room with people that will tell you, this is a win-win situation. And Canby comes first, it always has, in all these committees I've been on. And secondly, I look back on all the council members that have been on this. Everybody's got a conflict of interest of something on there. It's been my experience. So if it's an issue that I think it's a discrepancy, I have no problem of excusing myself from that. And I totally understand that. And I would want to. I don't want that to come back on me.
I have a question for you, Craig. If Gwen was appointed to the position, she's currently on our budget committee, would you consider an appointment to the budget committee?
I think about it.
Okay, fair answer.
But you know, we did that. I did that a lot early on. So, I would hope you consider me. I think I bring a lot of experience throughout the years, not only on the different committees, but even in my own life. I think it would really benefit the council. But yeah, I'm open to it.
Thanks.
Questions on this side? Okay. Craig, thank you very much. Appreciate it, sir. Clint, sir, hello, how are you?
Mr. Mayor, councilors, city administrator, attorney, recorder, and I think you'd be lucky to have any of us. Goodness sakes.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Clint Coleman. I'm a native Oregonian. I grew up in the small farming community of St. Paul, Oregon, the home of the St. Paul Rodeo. I'm the youngest of 6 children. I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers. My mother was a school teacher. My father was an engineer. And when I was a young teenager, my oldest sister got her first teaching job here at Knight Elementary School in Canby. And that's really when I kind of became familiar with Canby, and I thought, you know, what a great community, because in St. Paul you have to pretty much drive about 10 miles to go to the store or any of that kind of thing. And I thought, you know, that would maybe be a great place to live someday. I grew up, started working on a farm, and after that I had a love for motorcycles at the time and worked at a motorcycle shop while I was going to college. When I was in high school, my oldest brother became a stockbroker, and so while I was attending Portland Community College in Portland State, I took a real interest in his work. And while working at the motorcycle shop, that's where I really found that I really enjoyed working with people, helping people solve the problems that they had. And so I actually had the opportunity to go to work for a major brokerage firm before finishing college. I went to work for A.G. Edwards in Portland and worked there from May of 1986 to September of 95. And just a year prior, in 1994, I moved to Canby and soon got tired of commuting from Canby to Portland every day. So I decided to change firms. I went to work for Edward Jones in September of 1995, and they asked me where I'd like to have an office. And I said, well, Canby. And they said, well, we have an office here currently, and we're not looking to add another one at this time. So I opened the first office for Edward Jones in West Lynn on Willamette Falls Drive. And I worked there from 1995 through 2007. In the year 2000, I met my wife, who's worked at State Farm in West Lynn. We got married in 2004 here in Canby and built a house here in 2005. We live here with our 2 little mini schnauzers. And while in West Lynn, I didn't know anybody when I went to the community, so I joined the Chamber of Commerce. I was soon asked to be on the board, which I served, and that led to being president in 1999 in the year 2000. In the year 2000, I joined the Westland Lions Club and was soon invited to serve on the board, which led to being president in 2003 and 2004. I also served as the chairman of the Westland Old Time Fair in 2003 and 2004. In December of 2007, I decided to move my business to Canby, and in order to do that, because there's a very good Edward Jones presence here in town, I would need to change firms one last time, but I love my commute. It's just 2.5 miles to work. And since moving my business to Canby, I've joined the Canby Rodeo Association, Canby Chamber of Commerce, the Canby Main Street program, and I've worked with Amy Kiefer and helped work through the different design proposals that were put forward on the First Avenue project and kind of went through the screening process there. I'm currently actively involved in that with Jamie Stickle, and we meet regularly and review the facade improvement projects. I'm also a judge at the annual Cuts Force Cruise-In here in Canby, and I just completed the first year of the Ford Family Foundation training, thanks to Greg and Tracy and Gwen. As far as hobbies go, I've done many things over the years. I used to be an avid water skier, snow skier. I've always had a love for motorcycles and cars. I'm a black belt in Taekwondo, and I currently am restoring a Mustang, and I love going to car shows. What appeals to me about serving the city councilor, City of Canby, my wife and I love Canby. I care a great deal about the health and well-being of Canby, and I want to help make positive contributions. As far as running again in 2014, absolutely, if I felt I was a valuable counselor for the community and I felt that I could devote the time needed to do a good job. And I would say that's one of my concerns. It's a big unknown. I don't know how much time you guys actually put forth, but I know it's a lot. What do I think is the most pressing problem in the city of Canby today? I would say the health of the business community, because I believe a thriving business community makes businesses want to move here, makes people want to move here, and that helps the overall health of the community. As far as dealing with an upset customer conflict, I was thinking about that one, and being a financial advisor, and since money is very near and dear to people's hearts, when I moved my business from Edward Jones to LPL here in Canby, I did it right about near the top of the market. And so who would have thought that the stock market would have lost about 50% of its value over the next couple of years? And so as you can imagine, when you're dealing with stock and bond markets, which don't always cooperate as they're supposed to, this can make investors anxious and even angry from time to time. And the best thing that's taught me to be is a good listener. I've always tried to employ the golden rule when dealing with people: treat others as you'd wish to be treated. And in the business that I'm in, when you have a stock market crash or a bond market crash, it's not a whole lot different than an earthquake or a tsunami, and you have to assess the storm damage, review the options, and identify the best option. And you pointed it out best in saying that that's when you really earn your keep. You have to be out in front. You don't wait for the people to call you. You call them, you sit down with them, and you go over everything, and you really let them know that you're there for them. A goal or specific improvement you'd like to make in Canby as a result of serving on the city councilor? Well, my wife and I, with our 2 little dogs, we love to walk the dogs and ride our bicycles, and